We've all been there, right? That moment you try to ask Siri something a little complex, maybe a follow-up question.
And it just fumbles it. Or it
Yeah.
gives you that blank stare, digitally speaking.
Exactly. It's pretty frustrating when your smart assistant feels, frankly, a bit stuck in the past, especially considering Siri was such a pioneer back in 2011.
It really was. But yeah, it's become a common complaint, hasn't it?
It has. But hold on, because it looks like Apple might be gearing up for a really, really big strategic shift with Siri. Like
But
monumental.
more than just the usual updates.
Way more. We're talking about them potentially looking outside their famous walled garden. Actually considering integrating advanced large language models, LLMs, from other companies.
Companies like OpenAI with ChatGPT.
OpenAI, yes, or maybe Anthropic, the folks behind Claude. The big idea is to finally give Siri the brains to be, well, genuinely smarter.
Wow. Okay, that is a major shift for Apple.
It is, but, and this is important, Apple is also pushing hard on its own internal AI stuff, what they're calling Apple Intelligence.
Right, the features they showed at WWDC.
Exactly. So our mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack this. Why this big potential pivot? How could they possibly do it while keeping their promises on privacy? What does it mean for Apple's own AI teams?
And how could this whole mix fundamentally change how you interact with your devices, right? And where does it leave Siri compared to the competition?
Precisely. We're piecing this together from recent reports, some industry chatter, internal perspectives, trying to get the full picture of Apple's pretty complex AI journey right now. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, this is fascinating because LLMs are genuinely changing the game for digital assistants, pushing what's possible conversationally.
They really are.
And for Apple, a company known, I mean, really known, for doing everything themselves in-house,
Mm-hmm.
to even think about using an external LLM for something as core as Siri, it just highlights how significant this moment is in the whole AI race.
So let's start with the elephant in the room. Siri's current problems. Being first doesn't mean you stay the best, and, well, Siri's often fallen short.
We've all felt it. That lack of real context, the way it struggles with anything more than a simple command. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it just misunderstands.
Or well, freezes.
Yeah, freezes.
Mhm.
It's like that well-meaning friend who, just doesn't quite get the nuance sometimes. Bless its heart.
And the reason, according to folks who used to work there, seems to be deep down in the code. Significant architectural challenges, they call it.
Meaning the original foundation is just too old.
Basically, yeah. Trying to bolt modern LLM features onto that decade-plus-old system apparently caused loads of bugs, slowed everything down.
I heard someone internally described it as climbing the hill instead of just rebuilding the thing from scratch.
Right, and the results were, well, disappointing. That old architecture just wasn't built for this new era of AI.
And meanwhile, the competition isn't waiting around.
Right.
Google, Amazon, they've already rolled out much more sophisticated AI features. They've set a new bar, a much higher bar. And just to be clear, that ChatGPT option we saw in iOS 18, that's just like a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
It passes your request to ChatGPT. It's not actually making Siri itself smarter in a fundamental way.
Good point. So what this really means for you, the listener, is that the Siri you use today, it has real fundamental limitations. And Apple seems to finally be tackling those head on.
But importantly, it's not like Apple's given up on its own AI.
Yeah.
Far from it.
Hmm.
They've been pouring resources into Apple Intelligence.
Right, their proprietary system. And they keep emphasizing privacy as a foundational principle. Lots of focus on doing things right on your device.
Exactly. Keeping your data yours. And when things do need more power, they have this private cloud compute system, PCC, designed for secure processing off-device.
We saw some of that at WWDC 2024 with iOS 18, didn't we? Things like Summarize for quickly getting the gist of text, Smart Reply in Mail, Image Playground.
Yeah, and Genmoji, creating custom emoji. Those are all Apple Intelligence features, mostly running on-device, showing their commitment to that privacy-first AI.
And then at WWDC 2025, for iOS 26, they showed even more. Live translation was the big one.
Huge. And crucially, it runs entirely on-device for messages, FaceTime, even phone calls. That really drives home the privacy angle.
Plus that visual intelligence feature, being able to ask about stuff that's right there on your screen, making context work intuitively, that's their in-house stuff shining.
And they didn't just build features, they opened things up a bit, too. They introduced that foundation models framework.
Oh yeah, giving developers access to Apple's own on-device AI model for free.
Exactly. So developers can build powerful, fast, private, even offline AI features into their apps using Apple's tech. It's a pretty big deal.
So here's the fascinating part. Apple is seriously investing in its own AI, especially for those privacy-sensitive on-device tasks. And they're giving developers tools.
Right. But the core conversational part of Siri, the brain, if you will, often called LLM Siri, that seems to be where they've really hit roadblocks internally. Development delays.
So it's not an either-or situation. It looks like they're pursuing a multi-pronged strategy, keep building their own stuff, but maybe bring in outside help for the really hard conversational AI part.
That seems to be the emerging picture. And that leads us right to this potential pivot, seriously looking at external LLMs to be the engine inside Siri.
Which everyone is calling a major reversal or a significant shift for Apple. It seems to come from admitting, maybe implicitly, that their own models just aren't catching up fast enough to ChatGPT or Gemini, plus those internal delays we mentioned.
Yeah, reports say they're in active talks with both OpenAI and Anthropic, trying to see if ChatGPT or Claude could become the backbone for Siri.
And apparently they're not just talking, they're testing custom versions designed to run inside Apple's secure cloud, the PCC.
And some whispers suggest Anthropic's Claude might be the current frontrunner, maybe the best fit for what Apple needs right now.
Interesting, and this isn't some low-level experiment, is it? Key executives are reportedly involved.
That's right. People like Mike Rockwell, who heads Siri, and Craig Federighi, the software engineering chief. They seem to be driving this, which tells you how strategically important it is.
So the big question then is why? Why would Apple, the company famous for controlling every nut and bolt, even consider this?
Well, it looks like pragmatism. A recognition that maybe, just maybe, getting a truly competitive conversational AI into users' hands quickly is more important right now than building it all themselves.
So speed to market and catching up with rivals might outweigh the not invented here instinct this time.
It certainly seems possible, even if it means using someone else's core technology for a flagship feature. It's a sign of just how intense the AI pressure is.
Okay, but if they do bring in an outside LLM, what happens to Apple's ironclad privacy stance? That's like their #1 selling point.
Ah, yes, the privacy question. And that's where this thing called private cloud compute, or PCC, becomes absolutely critical. It's their answer.
Explain PCC. Is it just secure servers?
It's way more than that. Think of it as Apple's architectural shield for privacy in the cloud AI era. It's built on some really stringent principles.
Like what?
Okay, first, it's stateless. Your data goes in to process your request, and poof, it's gone. It's not stored, not used for logging. No Apple employee can access it later.
So temporary processing only.
Exactly. And these privacy guarantees aren't just policies. They're technically enforced by the architecture itself. There's supposedly no way for Apple staff to bypass them. No privileged access.
Okay, that sounds robust.
Plus, it's designed to make it incredibly hard for attackers to target any specific user's data. And of course, everything is encrypted end-to-end, only processed on servers that are cryptographically verified. It's privacy baked right into the silicon and software.
Right. I think I heard the term privacy through architecture.
That's it precisely. Now, here's the really clever part for this whole external LLM idea.
Yeah.
The plan, reportedly, is that these third-party models, like Claude or ChatGPT, would be specifically trained and adapted to run entirely within these super secure PCC servers.
Ah, so the external brain operates inside Apple's privacy fortress.
Exactly. It's Apple trying to get the best of both worlds. The power of leading-edge cloud AI, but without sacrificing that core privacy promise. It's a unique approach.
Very unique, but bringing in a powerhouse like Anthropic or OpenAI, that can't be cheap, right?
Oh, definitely not. Reports suggest the asking price, particularly from Anthropic, is steep. We're talking potentially multi-billion-dollar annual fees.
Billions per year.
That's the word. And potentially escalating over time. It's a substantial financial request, to put it mildly.
Wow. Especially when you contrast that with Apple's own budget for running its internal models in the cloud, which is also reportedly in the multi-billions for 2026.
It shows they're already investing heavily themselves, but maybe not getting the results they need for Siri fast enough.
And this strategy, using external AI, we see it elsewhere too, don't we?
We do. Samsung's Galaxy AI relies heavily on Google's Gemini models, and Amazon's boosting Alexa with Alexa Plus using Anthropic's technology. So it's becoming a pattern among the giants.
It's not just Apple feeling the pressure to partner up.
Right. And Apple seems to be playing the field a bit too. They apparently looked into acquiring Perplexity AI, another AI search company, and talked to a startup called Thinking Machines Lab.
So they're exploring options, likely trying to get the best deal and avoid being locked into just one provider. Smart negotiating tactic.
Absolutely. But it really underlines the huge market value these top LLMs command right now and the immense pressure Apple feels to keep pace on user experience, even if it costs a fortune. It's become a strategic must-have.
Okay, let's talk about that race. How does Siri actually stack up right now? Because the general feeling, the perception out there is that Apple's kind of lagging.
Yeah, that perception is definitely widespread. Terms like floundering in AI or behind other companies get thrown around a lot. It's not great for their reputation.
So if we compare directly, say, Siri versus Google Gemini.
Well, Gemini generally excels at things like drafting emails, coming up with creative content ideas, analyzing images, even understanding code. It's very much cloud first, deeply tied into Google's apps like Workspace, and just offers broader, more powerful generative AI skills right now.
And what about Amazon's Alexa? Especially the newer Alexa Plus Sci.
Alexa Plus is pushing hard on sounding more natural, being more personalized, and having what they call agentic skills.
Meaning it can do stuff for you?
Yeah, like actually boofing a restaurant or finding a repair person without you having to spell out every step. It also plugs into tons of third-party services and smart home devices, an area where Siri's HomeKit is often seen as, well, more limited. Plus, Alexa Plus has that subscription fee.
Right. So putting Siri next to these, you can see the gap.
You really can.
Yeah.
It highlights the current capability gap for Apple's own in-house LLMs, especially in that raw intelligence, and the sheer range of generative tasks the others can handle.
So connecting back to the big picture, this potential pivot, bringing in an external LLM, it seems almost necessary for Apple to, regain its footing in AI, to close that gap.
It certainly looks that way. Reestablishing AI relevance seems like a major driver here, especially with rivals already delivering these advanced conversational features.
Now, shifting gears a bit, what does this potential reliance on outside tech mean for Apple's internal AI teams? You've got all these brilliant people working on Apple's own models.
It's a really important question. There are reports suggesting this move, or even the consideration of it, might be hurting morale among those teams.
You can imagine, you're hired to build Apple's next-gen AI, and then the company talks about using someone else's.
Exactly. Especially in such a hot market for AI talent where people have lots of options. Plus, there have been some leadership changes too. It's a sensitive area.
But Apple isn't just giving up on their own stuff, are they?
No, definitely not. The message seems to be they're continuing to improve their own in-house models too, just in case. And remember, they're opening up those foundation models to developers.
So it's more of a hybrid approach. Use external tech for Siri's core conversation engine for now, maybe, but keep developing Apple Silicon Power AI and Apple Intelligence features internally.
That looks like the strategy, balancing the need for speed and competitiveness, using external expertise, while still nurturing their own internal talent and long-term AI vision.
What about developers then? On one hand, they get free access to Apple's on-device AI via the Foundation Models framework. That sounds great.
It is a huge opportunity, enabling really cool private AI features and apps. But the potential challenge, maybe navigating a slightly fragmented AI landscape.
How so?
Well, if Siri's main brain is, say, Claude running in PCC, but other Apple Intelligence features and the tool developers use are based on Apple's own models, developers might have to figure out how these different pieces work together.
Yeah, that could get tricky. So it raises that question, how does Apple keep its innovative edge, keep attracting the best AI minds, if it starts relying heavily on partners?
It's a delicate balancing act, no doubt. They'll need to be really clear about the roles of internal versus external AI and communicate a compelling long-term vision that keeps everyone motivated.
Okay, so let's talk timeline and what this smarter Siri might actually do. What's the vision?
The vision seems to be a Siri that's much more conversational, right? Better at understanding context, handling complex, multi-step requests.
Like understanding what's on your screen and letting you interact with it.
Exactly. Better integration with apps, maybe summarizing emails for you, actually controlling app functions more deeply, doing more sophisticated web searches. The ambition is way beyond just simple voice commands, more like synthesizing information and actually performing tasks.
Sounds great. When do we get it? Because WWDC 2024 set some expectations.
Well, here's the catch. While some new Siri features tied to Apple Intelligence were previewed, the full rollout of that smarter, context-aware Apple Intelligence Siri, that's now apparently pushed back to an update for iOS 26.
iOS 26, so likely sometime in 2026.
That's the current expectation, yes. And the even more advanced version, the one potentially powered by an external LLM, like Claude, the true LLM Siri, that seems to be planned as a later step.
Later than iOS 26.
Yeah, likely debuting with iOS 27 in the fall of 2026. And some reports even suggest a widespread rollout might stretch into 2027.
Oof. Okay, so patience is required. That explains some of the customer outrage reports, people feeling like they have to wait another year or more for Siri to catch up conversationally.
Definitely. Apple's got a job to do managing expectations here. This looks like a staggered multi-year rollout.
So excitement is definitely building for a smarter Siri, but you, the listener, will need to temper that a bit. The truly transformative LLM Siri isn't landing tomorrow. It's phased. And clear communication from Apple will be absolutely key to rebuilding trust after these delays.
Absolutely. Managing that narrative is crucial.
So let's wrap this up. It really feels like Apple is at a pivotal moment with Siri and its whole AI strategy.
It really does. This potential integration of third-party LLMs is a major pragmatic shift from their usual self-reliant playbook. It's a direct response to Siri's limitations and that intense competitive pressure.
And that private cloud compute technology is the linchpin, isn't it? Their way of trying to fuse powerful AI with their non-negotiable privacy stance.
Critically important. The likely path forward seems to be this hybrid model. Apple Intelligence handling a lot of on-device private tasks powered by Apple's own silicon and models.
While a powerful external LLM running securely in PCC provides that advanced conversational intelligence for Siri.
That appears to be the most probable trajectory based on everything we're hearing.
So the final thought for you, listening, this is bigger than just getting a smarter voice assistant, isn't it? It's about a fundamental change in how Apple operates.
Yeah, what does this signal about the future of tech giants? Is the era of doing everything purely in-house truly over, even for Apple? How does this affect your relationship with your devices, your data?
Will this bold, perhaps necessary move be enough for Apple to reclaim leadership in AI experience? Or is this just one move in a relentless AI race that forces everyone, even the biggest players, to constantly adapt, partner up, and evolve? Lots to think about.
Indeed. It's a fascinating space to watch right now.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time.